Parliament resume. All members, debate will open back more. Just remember the rule of relevance that have relaxed during this debate or this motion of Sine-Die. However, the rules of debate still applies. Me like for reminding Talalo, Order 32 of our standing order 32, that whatever you tell him, please address him to the speaker and not to other colleague members. With that, the floor is now open for debate. Honourable Minister for Agriculture.
Thank you. Speaker, sir, I rise on behalf of my people of East Makira and the Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Development to contribute to the Sine-Die motion. Let me first thank our Honourable Prime Minister for his able leadership in tabling the motion and allowing us to greet the people of our beloved country, Solomon Islands, and share some summary achievements from our respective ministries and constituencies. I acknowledge the strong leadership of the Speaker for keeping us in line with the procedures of the House. I have learned a lot, sir, and I thoroughly enjoy the rich deliberation in this current sitting of the 12th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development this year has delivered the following, and I wish to mention them. 1. In-service training of 32 staff at Solomon Island National University, Senior, and other institutes abroad. It is the first time for the Ministry to sponsor such a huge number of its staff to undergo further training, and this shows the seriousness of the Ministry to build its technical capacity in order to adapt to the changing needs of our stakeholders. Staff of MAL have also attended 6 different short-term trainings in China and Japan this year. All of this will certainly better equip our technical staff to implement the programs and projects of the government and the development partners that sits within the ministry. 2, launching of the country's first ever Agriculture National Advisory Council, ANAC for short, a technical oversight body to assist the ministry with its policies and plans to develop the sector. 3, a new historic record of cocoa exports surpassing the previous high of 2011. 4, the largest increase in the export volumes of both copra and cocoa in the last 10 years. This year, the copra export volume stands at 13,000 metric tons, 5,000 metric tons more than last year. Cocoa export volume is at 6,782, which is 500 metric tons more than last year. 5, rollout of coconut and cocoa revolving fund, contributing additional 1,000 metric tons of cocoa and copra to the total export volume this year. 6, provision of fuel subsidized shipping services to Makira, Guadalcanal, and Choiseul, with planned expansion to all provinces in the new financial year. 7, recruitment of 42 new staff, including a new director for communication who has just joined us, and 2 new veterinary science officers who are expected to join us after the new year. 8, contracting of all directors for our 7 departments, including the Human Resource Manager and the Financial Controller. 9th, the commencement of construction of the 2 new double-story office complexes in Auki and Kirkira, funded by the World Bank. 10, construction of National Cattle Breeding Center in Isabel. 12, the replanting and rehabilitation of coconut and cocoa farms with assistance from our donor partners. 12, purchasing of new outboard motors and canoes for our biosecurity borders, thanks to the UNDP SAFE project for that assistance. 13, the successful trials with very high yield, higher than the world average yield per hectare. The yield for the current trials was 9,000 kilograms per hectare, and this is with no fertilizer being used. 14, the launching of the Sape cassava processing facility. 15, the operationalization of the vapor heat treatment facility at Henderson and construction of a new incinerator at the biosecurity Ranadi disposal site. 16, partnership with private sector to improve availability of alternative feedstocks. 17, completion of a new slaughter facility at our KG6 farm, thanks to the World Bank for that financial assistance. 18, funding assistance to small and medium business enterprises. 19, funding assistance to our young business entrepreneurs through EXC. And 20, securing of new funding opportunities from FAO, IFAD, DFAT, UNICEF, and the government of Japan. Speaker, sir, the ministry hopes to do better next year as we build on our successes and the challenges this year. It is not lost on us that no one is an island and that agriculture has come this far thanks to our many partners and stakeholders who stood with us to try and grow the agricultural sector. Therefore, I thank our esteemed development partners who have assisted the national aspirations of our agriculture sector to provision of their financial and technical resources. And these are the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, the World Bank, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, the European Union, EU, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, the UNICEF and the government of Japan, the People's Republic of China, PRC, the Jiangsu Academy of Agricultural Sciences, JAS, the MFAT New Zealand and DFAT Australia, and others. Your support is critical to the sector as they fill in the budgetary gaps and complement the SIG funding to strengthen food security and livelihood in our rural areas. I must also thank the successive ministers for the Ministry of Finance and Treasury for their unwavering support towards the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development in the release of funds. MAL remains optimistic of its contributions to the growth of our economic well-being and will continue to work closely with MOFT and other sister ministries and the private sector to effectively implement the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025. To the Governor General, our hardworking Prime Minister, yourself, Minister Speaker, Sir, all constitutional post holders, fellow colleague ministers of Crown, the leader of opposition, the leader of independent group, and all members of Parliament and your families, a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year 2026. And to all my MAL family, including the project's officers, our hardworking farmers and your families, my sincere appreciation to you all for a very successful year this year. Let us continue to work together next year to elevate ourselves to a new, higher heights, never seen or experienced in the past. MAL will continue to stand with you all. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to end my contribution to the debate by thanking my good people of East Makira, constituency for their strong support this year, especially the members of the Constituency Development Committee, the 8 members of Provincial Assembly in East Makira constituency, the Paramount Chief, church leaders, men and women, and youth leaders. With the late release of the full 2025 CDF for 50 constituencies, all approved projects for this year will be delivered in the first quarter of 2026. I wish my good people of East Makira a joyous Christmas and a prosperous New Year 2026. With these few remarks, Speaker Sir, I support the motion and I resume my seat.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for East Makira. Now let me give the opportunity to the Minister for Provincial Government.
May it please say thank you so very much for allowing me the floor to contribute to the motion moved by the Honourable Prime Minister that at the adjournment of Parliament on Wednesday, 17 December 2025, the present meeting shall be concluded and Parliament shall therefore adjourn Sine-Die. At the outset, sir, I wish to express my appreciation to all members of Parliament for their dedication and contributions during our deliberations in this House, and of course to the government for implementing government business. So in particular, I wish to recognize the considerable efforts of our veteran MPs, the likes of the MP for East Choiso, Honourable Manasa Songwari, the MP for Small Malaita, Honourable Rico, the leader of opposition, Honourable Matiwale, member for Auke Langlanga, and of course the member for Central Honera, also chair for PAC. I term them as practical economists from the other side of the House. I also acknowledge the contributions by other senior MPs who also sits on the other side, namely the leader of Independent, as well as the chair of Foreign Relations Committee, for their scrutiny of the bill. Sir, I also wish to acknowledge your dedication and guidance, as well as that of your esteemed office. Allow me to thank the Parliamentary Standing Committee, particularly the Public Accounts Committee and Bills and Legislation Committee for your commitment and perseverance in scrutinizing the bills and budget for this House deliberation this year. Speaker, sir, the recently approved budget exemplifies what has been described by some members of Parliament as the people's budget. I agree, sir. I agree with the Prime Minister's assessment that the 2026 budget sanctioned last week reflects the government's ongoing commitment to human capital development with sectors such as health, education, and law enforcement receiving record levels of support. In that regard as well, I must thank the government of the day for its financial commitment for the provincial governance strengthening program with SBD 30 million PCDF support and an additional SBD 15 million PCDF to cater for those qualified provinces in 2023 who could not receive their grants because of the Pacific Games. So as we close this year's Parliament deliberations, it is also fitting that I inform this House of some of the updates on the reform programs of the Ministry of Provincial Government and Institutional Strengthening. I had mentioned earlier on, 2 weeks ago, that the Attorney General's Chambers has cleared the amendments on the quick fixes to the Provincial Government Act 1997 and is ready to be tabled in Cabinet for further endorsement. Regarding the revenue sharing scheme, sir, consultations directed by caucus and Cabinet is ongoing as my ministry awaits further data from the relevant ministries before reporting back to the Ministry of Finance and Treasury for further discussions on a joint caucus and cabinet paper. In terms of broader reviews of the Provincial Government Act 1997, sir, the ministry will, early next year, form a bipartisan working group to kickstart preparations for more substantial reforms regarding devolution and related governance issues as requested by our provincial authorities. Mr. Speaker, I know the Prime Minister's statement last week regarding the necessity for increased collaboration between the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Survey and my ministry to effectively plan for urbanization in our provinces. Careful planning of these towns, sir, in light of challenges such as rising urbanization, is important to avoid repeating the mistakes made in our urban Honiara. This is a key policy for the immediate future and must be treated with urgency going forward. So, with respect to the township projects overseen by my ministry, we are committed to implementing a more coordinated and strategic approach to enhance transparency regarding project timelines and duration. Achieving this objective will necessitate increased collaboration and proactive engagement between the ministry, related stakeholders, and respectful authorities, provincial authorities. So, as everyone knows, the PGSP with the PCDF as a vital part is a flagship program, government program initiative driven by a deep commitment to decentralization. It aims to uplift our provinces, fostering development and growth. More than that, it is a genuine capacity building effort dedicated to empowering our provinces with human resources they need to realize their dreams and achieve their development goals. I am glad the projects operating under the ministry, such as the World Bank-funded Integrated Economic Development and Community Resilience and United Nations Capital Development Fund for Local Climate Adaptive Living Facility, have been coordinated well by the ministry in upscaling PCDF and continued capacity building of our 9 provinces, and more particularly our rural communities for decentralized service delivery. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also wish to inform this House that the success of provincial government's strengthening program in Solomon Islands is not a quiet achievement confined to our nation borders. It has gained recognition both internationally and sub-regionally. Consequently, sir, the ministry has been invited by international stakeholders to promote the PGSP at international conferences. This year, in August, the ministry was part of the Inclusive Climate Finance Dialogue held in Bangkok, showcased the work of the Provincial Capacity Development Fund and work plan through the UNCDF Climate Adaptive Living Facility. So there is also a sub-regional attention on the PGSP success. In that regard, just few days ago, Vanuatu's Director General of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, along with dedicated officials from Department of Local Authority, the Department of Strategic Planning, Policy and Aid Coordination, and representatives from UNDP Vanuatu passionately sought to learn from Solomon Islands' experience with our provincial governance strengthening program. Vanuatu's genuine willingness to learn from our ministry, the Ministry of Provincial Government, through the PGSP underscores the positive impact and success of the PGSP. A success we should be proud of, and hence the need to elevate such success stories to the sub-regional level. Sir, this year, political stability at the provincial government level is generally maintained, with Makira and Temotu provinces actively downplaying motions of no confidence. All other provinces remain steady except for Renold and Bellona, which is currently experiencing political instability. So I urge all provincial governments at this critical moment to prioritize political stability and dedicate themselves wholeheartedly to the betterment and progress of our rural people. Say, I am acutely aware of the official opposition's concerns regarding certain members of provincial assemblies who have clearly disregarded their jurisdictional boundaries in their official capacities. The ministry has already issued formal warnings and will not hesitate to impose punitive action should such conduct persist. I repeat, sir, the ministry has already issued formal warnings and will not hesitate to impose punitive action should such conduct persist. Further breaches will be met with swift and uncompromising consequences. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must commend our donor partners as well, particularly the World Bank, UNCDF, UNICEF, and UNDP. The 2026 budget see an allocation of SBD 54 million from World Bank funded integrated economic development and community resilience, and SBD 13.8 million from United Nations Capital Development Fund's local climate adaptive living facility. Speaker said my ministry will continue to recognize and thank them for their financial support of our programs. Without their support, our programs would be stagnant. Given that we anticipate some financing gaps, the ministry shall continue to ensure enhanced coordination with the World Bank and United Nations agencies to see how the financial gaps can be filled. Mr. Speaker said to conclude, I would like to thank all MPs, ministers, public servants, provincial governments, premiers, MPAs, development partners, and faith-based organizations for your timely dedication, efforts, and energy that continue to unwaveringly support our development aspirations and services to our country. As our Prime Minister has clearly articulated, our journey continues with a clear sense of direction. And through unity, stability, and determination, we strive for a stronger, peaceful, and prosperous Solomon Islands. Speaker said, given that Christmas is around the corner, allow me to wish all MPs, the good people of Solomon Islands, and of course, my good chiefs, community leaders, women leaders, the youths, little beginnies of Ranong Simbo, a blessed, happy Christmas and prosperous New Year 2026. With these few remarks, I support the motion.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for Ranoga Simbo. Thank you, Honourable Member for Temotu Pele.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on behalf of my people of the Temotu Pele constituency to respond to the Prime Minister's motion of Sine-Die. Well, I acknowledge the work of this House during this sitting. I must use this opportunity to clearly and firmly place on record the concerns of my people of Temotu province, particularly my good people of Temotu Pele constituency. Mr. Speaker, for far too long, development, resources, opportunities, and essential services have not been distributed fairly across this country. Provinces such as Tamotu continue to bear the burden of remoteness without receiving the level of support required to overcome it. This is not a new issue, and it can no longer be addressed with general statements of commitment alone. Tamotu province, like many outer provinces, faces unique challenges arising from its geography and distance from the capital. These challenges affect the delivery of essential services, the movement of goods and people, and the ability of communities to fully participate in economic development. The people of Tamotu continue to contribute to the national economy and our shared identity as a nation. Yet they continue to experience limited access to healthcare, education, markets, and economic opportunities. This imbalance is unacceptable if we are serious about inclusive and equitable development. Mr. Speaker, the most critical constraint to development in Tamotu province remains shipping. Irregular and unreliable shipping services continue to undermine every aspect of life, whether it is delivering of medical supplies, access to markets for agricultural and fisheries products, or the movement of students, workers, and public servants. Shipping is not a luxury for Tamotu. It is a necessity. Without consistent and affordable shipping services, development projects will continue to fail. Service delivery will remain inconsistent, and the total cost of living, will remain unreasonably high. On the other hand, I would like to stress that we remain one of the expensive destinations in terms of air travel in this country. Our one-way domestic ticket is higher than Honiara-Brisbane return or even Honiara-Nandi return. The imbalance has caused social and economic hardship and a disincentive to growth and development in general. Mr. Speaker, as we bring this session to a close, it is timely to reflect on the principle of inclusive development and the need to ensure that all provinces, including Tamotu, are able to share meaningfully in our nation's progress. Sir, in this context, shipping plays a central role. Reliable and affordable shipping services are essential to the well-being of the people of Tamotu. Improved shipping connectivity would significantly ensure access to healthcare, education, markets, and government services, and would strengthen confidence for both public and private investment in the province. Sir, allow me to thank the owner and management of ME Tamareo for availing their vessel to transport the people of Tamotu province during this festive season. But we will not continue to rely on guest shipping services to our remote province. The government must seriously consider providing a passenger boat through a public-private partnership model to save our people and ensure their fair participation by all citizens of this country in social and economic development. Going forward, I respectfully encourage the government to continue strengthening 1. Fair and needs-based distribution of development resources. 2. Sustainable and predictable shipping arrangement for Tamotu province, including partnership with the private sector. And 3. Ongoing consultations with Tamotu provincial government to ensure policies and programs reflect local priorities and realities. Sir, allow me to sincerely thank my good people of Tamotu Pele constituency for their patience and steadfast support for our long-term development plans, particularly in education and employment opportunities. Your continued trust, resilience, and commitment inspired our shared vision for a stronger and more prosperous future for our constituency. Finally, sir, as we approach the festive season, I take this moment to wish all honourable members, our hard-working public servants, and the people of Solomon Islands, especially my good people of Tamotu Pele constituency, a Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year 2026. May this season remind us of peace, generosity, unity, and hope. May our families be strengthened, our communities uplifted, and our nations blessed as we enter the new year. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion. May God bless the Motopele constituency, and may God bless our beloved Somalans. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Tematu Pele. Honourable Member for South New Georgia.
Thank you, Speaker, for Luxavelongo, Member of South New Georgia, Randa Waltete Parry. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak on the motion of Sine-Die, moved by the Prime Minister. And I thank him for bringing this to the House for the formal closure on the third meeting on the 12th Parliament. This motion invites us to pause and take stock. It marks not only the end of a sitting, but a moment of collective reflection on the government's agenda and conduct throughout 2025 and on how this Parliament has served the people we represent. Mr. Speaker, it is proper at the outset of acknowledge the efforts of the government. During the year, the public administration has continued. Services have been delivered under pressure, and officers across ministries have carried heavy responsibilities in challenging conditions. These efforts deserve recognition because governance is not abstract, it is felt in the lives of all citizens across the country. Parliament should never be slow to acknowledge work that has been done in good faith and with public purpose. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, the purpose of a Sine-Die debate is not only ceremonial, but it exists so that this House can speak honestly about what worked, what fell short, and what remains unfinished. Accountability is not hostility, it is duty. As we conclude this meeting, we owe it to the public record and to the people who sent us here to examine both achievements and failures with care and fairness. It is in that spirit that I intend to reflect on the government's performance in some areas during 2025 in very brief contributions to this debate. Reflection on the 2025 speech from the throne. Mr. Speaker, our journey in 2025 begins with a speech from the throne, delivered by His Excellency, the Governor-General, to Parliament on 24th April to open the third meeting of the Parliament. That speech set out the Government for National Unity and Transformation agenda and framed the year around on 4 pillars: economic transformation, infrastructure development, unity and stability, and human capital development. These pillars were presented as the organizing logic for policy, legislation, and service delivery across all of government. The intent was clear. GNAT positioned itself as a government that will lead through reform, discipline, and implementation, with a strong emphasis on institutions doing the job and doing it well. Central to that agenda was a heavy reliance on legislation as the primary tool for delivery. The government placed before the nation an ambitious legislative program, including the Special Economic Zone Bill, which has been passed by the Parliament, the Public Service Bill, which also has been passed, the Mineral Resources Bill, the Electricity Amendment Bill, the Constitution Amendment relating to Constituent Assembly, the National Building Standard Bill, also passed by the Parliament, the Civil Registration Bill, the Forest Resource and Utilization Amendment Bill, and the Environment Bill. Taken together, these bills were meant to modernize governance, unlock economic activity, strengthen regulation, and reset the relationship between the state, the economy, and our people. Before that speech, there was a strong expectation that GNET would move beyond brand policy statements and provide clearer signals on delivery. Many anticipated sharper timelines, clearer sequence of reforms, and a more direct explanation of how these commitments would translate into jobs, lower living costs, improved services on the ground. While the speech articulated vision and direction, it is left key questions unanswered, particularly around implementation capacity, fiscal pressure, and accountability for results. As we close this meeting of Parliament, that contrast is important. The speech from the throne set ambitions and intent. The task for this House and the test for the government has always been whether those commitments would move from promise to practice over the course of the year. That being said, sir, I will confine my contribution to some small number of priority areas. This includes budget discipline and targeting of key activities that deliver results, government borrowing, and the need for firm fiscal responsibility, the continued capitalization of state-owned enterprises, the state of health infrastructure, the basic services, and the urgent need to strengthen government data collection, reporting, and accountability. Mr. Speaker, a disciplined budget is one that makes choices. It directs cash public funds towards activities that deliver results. We tend to spread money thinly across too many programs. When targeting is weak, budgets look busy on paper, but produce little change on the ground. Let me give you two quick examples. The budget figures we have recently scrutinized show persistent problems with targeting. In education, the total 2026 budget is about 2.8 billion, yet only 83.7 million, roughly around 5%, is allocated to development. The rest is absorbed by recurrent costs, including 29 million for teacher payback. We are paying salaries and arrears, but investing very little in classrooms, water, sanitation, and reform-led delivery. Say in agriculture, where government says growth and exports are the priority, the problem is again clear. The ministry's total budget falls from 90 million in 2025 to about 87 million in 2026. with development funding cut by about 20%. At the same time, over 72.5 million in donor-funded advance warrants temporarily prop up activity. Growth is driven largely by prices and donors, not sustained national investment. The increase alone absorbs resources before a single dollar reaches classrooms, clinics, or roads. Debt servicing is not optional spending. It crowds out development. Sir, we speak of deficit reduction, yet the deficit still sits around 7.5%, with projected improvement relying heavily on donor support. Remove donor assistance and the underlying fiscal position remains fragile. This is not consolidation driven by reform, it is consolidation driven by assumptions. Sir, borrowing pressure also coexists with spending pattern that weaken returns. Education and health budgets remain dominated by recurrent costs, with development share of roughly 5% in education and 8% in health. Borrowing in such a structure sustains wages and areas rather than builds productive assets. Sir, if borrowing continues to rise while reform lag, future budgets will be written by repayment schedules, not by Parliament's priorities. Fiscal responsibility requires borrowing only where returns are clear, closing revenue leakages and protecting development space. Again, that is the test this House must apply as we conclude this session. On capitalization of SOEs, the repeated capitalization of state-owned enterprises such as SEP and DBSI demands honest reflections. Year after year, public funds flow into these entities, yet tangible returns remain thin or difficult to see. Capital injections should drive growth and market access, not serve as life support. When Parliament approves capitalization, it does so expecting clear benefits to the economy and the public. Sir, DBSI continues to receive government support as a key vehicle for financing farmers, small businesses, and productive sectors. Most recently, DBSI secured $50 million from the National Provident Fund. That is a significant sum, approved on the understanding that it would expand access to credit and support production on the ground. Yet, when we look at the evidence, a concern emerges. Recent growth in agriculture has been driven largely by high world price and donor-funded projects, not by a noticeable expansion of domestic credit. This leads to a simple but important question for a Parliament. Are repeated capital injections into DBSI translating into real lending to farmers and small businesses? Sir, there is also a practical constraint that cannot be ignored. Many rural farmers face serious challenges in providing loan security. The CBSI loan guarantee scheme has now been fully utilized. Once that safety net is gone, what options remain for farmers who are productive but lack assets? If DBSI is to fulfill its mandate, government must explain how credit will reach rural producers in the absence of guarantees. Otherwise, capitalization risk benefiting balance sheet, not farmers. That is an issue Parliament must confront honestly. Mr. Speaker, SEMA presents a similar concern. It is regularly cited as a central of export marketing and market access. Yet, Parliament receives little clear reporting on volume handled, producers' benefits, or financial returns. If public funds are used to capitalize SEMA, we must be able to see whether it is adding value beyond what private traders are already doing. Sir, in a context of rising debt, servicing, and tight development budget, capitalization with a clear performance benchmarks is a risk the country cannot afford. Support to SOEs must be tied, measurable outcomes, transparent reporting, and consequences for underperformance. Capitalization should build engines of growth, not permanent dependence on the budget. That is the standard Parliament must apply when considering further injections into our state-owned enterprises. On public health, public health is where government is judged most directly. Clinics without reliable buildings, staff housing, or medicines do not deliver care. They deliver frustrations. Public health infrastructure determines whether services work in practice and not just on paper. The health budget appears large, but its structure tells a direct story. Total funding stands at around 700 million in 2025 and rises to about 852 million in 2026. Yet Public Accounts Committee analysis shows that only about 8.1% of the allocation goes to development, while more than 91% is absorbed by recurrent costs. This sits well outside the stated policy model of an 80-20 ratio balance and severely limits a pace of infrastructure delivery. Even the small development share is not fully translated into results. Development execution stands at around 44% compared to 77% for recurrent spending and 78% for donor-funded programs. This explains why long lists of promised clinics coexist with communities still waiting for completed facilities. Sir, it is also important to recognize achievements. Funding for the National Medical Stores increased to 125 million. The first major increase in many years, helping stabilize medicine and drugs supplies. 6 primary health care facilities, Dedeo, Konide, Vagina, Leona, Tukutaunga, and Kwantai, have been completed and handed over. The development portfolio now includes 10 new rural health clinics and 10 new health care centers, showing progress where funding and execution align. On that note, I must congratulate the powerful Minister for Health for a job well done. Public health also depends on basic urban services. In Honiara, sanitation and drainage failures feed directly into disease and hospital pressure. Weak development funding across government means this problem continue to land at the doors of the health system. Sir, let me briefly note that the absence of public amenities or washroom in Honiara and in our provincial centers is not only a public health risk, but also an impact to our visitors and tourists. I mean that even Honiara no got public toilets around the city, even provinces. Or Gokolosi, or okay, I'm good, small mala. So the picture is mixed. There are real gains in medicine supply and completed clinics, but these sit alongside structural underinvestment in infrastructure and weak execution. Public health cannot run on the current spending alone. Discipline requires lifting development investment, improving deliveries, and aligning infrastructure, workforce, and the supply system. That is the standard Parliament must apply when judging health outcomes at the close of this session. Government data, reporting, and accountability. Finally, Mr. Speaker, good decisions depend on good information. Without reliable data and clear reporting, government plans are in the dark. Parliament debates without evidence, and citizens here claim they cannot verify too. Accountability weakens when results are not measured and published. Scrutiny shows that data systems remain fragmented and poorly integrated into budgeting and oversight. Important national work has been completed, including the midterm review of the National Development Strategy 2016-2035. The MESA diagnostic and the 2024 voluntary national review on the SDGs. These are solid achievements, and they prove the technical capacity exists. The problem is that these tools are not embedded in day-to-day decision-making. Monitoring results rarely drive budget choices or program adjustments. The consequences are visible. Auditor General reports continue to highlight poor record keeping, incomplete documentation, and delayed audits, including for the economic stimulus package, COVID-19 funds, and now the Pacific Game 2023 funds. Data gaps also. So, weak data also undermines fiscal control. In 2024, the development budget contracted by 44%, from about 1.17 billion planned to roughly 657 million projected without early warning of timely correction. Revenue agencies report meeting targets, yet cash flow problems persist, pointing to gaps in how revenue, exemptions, debt servicing, and expenditure data are brought together. Accountability is not about reports after the fact. It is about making performance visible as it happens. Until monitoring systems are operationalized and enforced across government, Parliament will continue to debate promises rather than results. A modern state must know itself before it can serve its people well. Investment in data reporting and accountability is not a luxury. It is the foundation of discipline, trust, and effective governance. That is the standard this House must insist on as we conclude this House. In closing, finally, Mr. Speaker, I wish to acknowledge His Excellency the Governor General for the diligence and care which he has carried out his constitutional duties. particularly in conveying the government's agenda to this House. I pray that God continues to bless him, his family, his staff, and his discharge his responsibilities as His Majesty's representative in the year ahead. I also acknowledge the Honourable Prime Minister, my Honourable Leader of Opposition, the Honourable Leader of the Independent Group, and all Honourable members on both sides of this House. This has been a demanding year, but also a meaningful one. I hope and pray that 2026 will continue to work together with us, with mutual respect and shared sense of duty, in service to our country and our people through our legislative responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, I further extend my sincere appreciation to the Clerk of Parliament and to the dedicated officers and staff of the National Parliament. Your professionalism, patience, and commitment have ensured the orderly and effective functioning of this House throughout the year. I trust that we will carry forward the same standard of discipline and integrity into the coming Parliament session. I also wish to acknowledge our donors and development partners for their continued support to Solomon Islands. Many important programs and services would not have been proceeded without your assistance. I pray that your cooperation remains strong in 2026 as we work together to advance the well-being and future of our nation. Lastly, I wish to thank my people of South New Jersey, Red and Tetepara constituency for your residence, patience, and continued support throughout the year. I'm deeply grateful for the trust you have placed in me to represent you in this House. I look forward to seeing you, to be with you, to listen and to continue our work together. I pray that 2026 will move forward with our renewed purpose and determination to improve the lives of our people. In closing, I extend my sincere wishes to all our people across this nation for happy, safe, and peaceful festive season as we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and prepare to welcome the new year. May 2026 bring hope, stability, and progress to our country. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year to you all. Lana hola, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, I fully support the motion and resume my seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member for South New Jersey, friend of Tetepari. And I wish to contribute to the motion. Thank you, Honourable Member for West New Georgia and Vona Vona.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for allowing me to contribute to this year's India motion. I begin by acknowledging your leadership throughout this session, your firm guidance of proceedings, and your commitment to fairness and the decorum in this honourable House. I look forward to your continued guidance and dedication in the coming year. I also wish to extend my sincere appreciation to the Honourable Prime Minister and the GNAT government. Governing in the current environment has not been easy. Our nation has faced economic pressures, climate-related challenges, global uncertainty, and the everyday demands of public administration. These are realities that test any government. In this context, I acknowledge the efforts of the Prime Minister and his Cabinet in continuing to provide leadership and direction as the government pursues its national agenda. I also wish to acknowledge the Leader of Opposition for his steadfast leadership of the official opposition and the commitment to ensuring that work remains constructive and focused on the national interest. On the same note, I also acknowledge the leader of the independent group for his leadership and for the constructive role played by the independent members in contributing to balanced debate and effective functioning of this House. I also acknowledge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, whether in government, opposition, or as independent members. Each of us carries a responsibility to serve the people and to contribute to the strength of our parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, as we bring this third meeting of the 12th Parliament to a close, it is fitting to reflect on areas where progress has been made and to recognize the collective effort behind that progress. Across government ministries and agencies, many public servants have continued to work diligently, often under difficult conditions, to deliver services to our people. Their commitment deserves recognition. The government has continued to focus on infrastructure development, improving transport links and public facilities that support connectivity, economic activity, and social services across our islands. In education, reforms have continued with the aim of strengthening skills development, improving learning environment, and better preparing young people for the future opportunities. In health, efforts to expand facilities and improve service delivery, particularly in provincial areas, reflect an ongoing commitment to improving services and access to care. Attention has also remained on productive sectors such as agriculture, fisheries, tourism, recognizing their importance to livelihoods, food security, and long-term development. In law and order, the continued emphasis on peace and community safety remains fundamental to national stability. Taken together, these efforts reflect a commitment to unity, gradual progress, and the long-term welfare of our people. Mr. Speaker, reflection also requires to acknowledge the challenges that continue to shape our nation's and national journey. Our economy remains sensitive to external pressures, and many households continue to feel the strain of rising living costs. Service delivery challenges persist in most areas, reminding us of the importance of sustained attention to implementation and coordination. Youth unemployment and related social pressures remain a shared concern for all of us in this House. Institutional capacity constraints, both nationally and provincially, also require ongoing strengthening. Climate change and nature disaster continue to affect communities and development efforts across the country. These challenges are not unique to one government or to one parliament. They require patience, cooperation, and a collective commitment to work together over time. Mr. Speaker, managing a small economy in a complex global environment is never straightforward. The government focus on economic stewardship reflects an awareness on this reality. While these are signs of economic activity and recovery, the broader picture reminds us that religion takes time to build. Structural challenges, limited fiscal space, and exposure to external shocks continue to shape economic outcomes. This underscores the importance of steady policy direction, prudent decision-making, and collaboration across government, parliament, and society as we work towards a more resilient and inclusive economic for our nation and people. Mr. Speaker, one area that deserves particular recognition is the contribution of Labour Mobility Scheme. This program has supported many households and families and have provided valuable opportunities for Solomon Islanders. We acknowledge the cooperation of our development partners who continue to support these initiatives. At the same time, there is shared recognition that long-term prosperity depends on strengthening opportunities at home. Continued effort to develop agriculture, fisheries, tourism, and other productive sectors will be essential, particularly for our young people. Our natural resources also offer important opportunities for development. As this sector evolved, it is encouraging to see ongoing attention to strengthening legal, technical, and institutional frameworks that supports responsible resource management and national benefit. Mr. Speaker, across key sectors, we see clear policy intent and ambition. The task before all of us is to ensure that these intentions are translated steadily into consistent and tangible outcomes for our people. In health, ongoing efforts to strengthen systems and coordination will help ensure reliable access to essential services. In education, continued focus on implementation will support students, teachers, and the workforce development initiatives as they mature. In energy, recent policy actions are noted, and completing the supporting legislative and regulatory framework will help secure long-term stability. In telecommunication network, expansion is a positive development. Continued reform will help ensure that affordability and service quality improve in ways that benefit all people and leave no one behind. Mr. Speaker, strong institutions are the foundation of public trust. Continued effort to strengthen transparency, accountability, and coordination across government will reinforce confidence in our national system. The scale of development activity supported by our partners highlights the importance of alignment with national priorities and effective parliamentary oversight. The government's state commitment to integrity and good governance is welcome, and sustained support for oversight institutions will be important in ensuring these principles are reflected in practice. Progressing key fundamental legislation will further strengthen coherence across public administration and support long-term development planning. Mr. Speaker, as we look ahead, our shared focus should be on steady improvement, stronger coordination, and continued capacity building. Advancing key institutions, planning frameworks, and regulatory reforms will support responsible development and better service delivery. Strengthening system that ensures public resources reach their intended purpose will continue to improve with outcomes for our people. We must support ongoing reforms in infrastructure regulation and governance to help ensure affordability, reliability, and inclusiveness. By working together, Parliament can help provide a stable and supportive framework for the national progress. Mr. Speaker, there is growing national discussion on decentralization and calls for a federal system. These discussions reflect genuine aspiration for greater local participation and decision-making. At the same time, we must be realistic about current capacity. Effective decentralization requires strong institutions, skilled personnel, reliable revenue system, and sound government structures. On that note, I thank the government for advancing the bipartisan task force on the Constituent Assembly, undertaking a cost-benefit analysis of the proposed federal system is a prudent and necessary step as we consider a shift from our current unitary system. As one of the drafters of our Constitution once observed, this is like rebuilding a ship at sea. A reminder that constitutional reform requires care, patience, and sound judgment. A political starting point lies in fair benefit sharing arrangement that allows provinces to directly benefit from the resources they help generate. This approach can strengthen local capacity and lay the groundwork for the future constructural transition. Mr. Speaker, the well-being of our people must remain central to all policy choices. In my constituency of West New Georgia and Wonoona, youth challenges mirror those faced nationally. Limited opportunities, rising social pressures, and gaps in training remain pressing concerns. I encourage continued investment in skills training institutions and greater attention to sports development as a tool for youth engagement, discipline, and community cohesion. I acknowledge constituencies that host major economic activities and recognize the contribution of their people to national stability. I thank the government for its ongoing development support to West New Georgia and Wonoona, particularly in infrastructure and public facilities. In particular, I acknowledge the government commitment to the construction of the Munda to Zangana Road, as well as Northwest and South New Georgia Road networks connecting to Sege in Maroa, which will be significantly improve connectivity and economic activity across the region. I also thank the government for the construction of the new police station, the Ministry of Finance and Customs Office, new Fisheries Office, and the tasseling of the Noro Road, all of which strengthen public service delivery and community safety. So I also respectfully encourage the government, through the relevant agencies, to give due attention to ensuring that communities along Munda Noro Road are able to access basic services such as power and water. These communities host most major infrastructure corridors, and extending these essential services to them would ensure that development is inclusive and shared by the people whose land supports it. To my people, I encourage continued cooperation with development initiatives. Progress depends on partnership between communities and the state. Finally, Mr. Speaker, before I resume my seat, I wish to acknowledge and give special thanks to my chiefs and council of elders in Rowena Lavata, church leaders, community leaders, women's groups, youth groups, and all of the people of West New Georgia and Wonoona constituency. Your unity, cooperation, and continuous support has enabled me to represent you confidently in Parliament. I am humbled by the trust you have placed in me, and I reaffirm my commitment to always stand for the needs, concern, and aspiration of the people of West New Georgia and Wonoona. I thank you all. As we enter the festive season, I want to wish all members of Parliament and their families the Governor General and the Speaker and their families, the clerk and all the hardworking staff of the National Parliament and their families, not forgetting my good people of West New Georgia and Wonawona constituency, and all the people throughout the country, a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year to all. May God's blessing continue to guide and protect our beloved Solomon Islands, now and in many years ahead. With these remarks, Leana Hola, I support the motion and I resume my seat.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for West New Georgia, Wonawona. Thank you, Honourable Minister for Lands and Housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for recognizing the MP for North East Guadalcanal and the Minister for Lands, Housing and Survey. Before the day comes to a close and before, I think it's 2.5 hours before we farewell the last light, Speaker, sir, let me give thanks in all circumstances, for this is our God's will for all of us in Christ Jesus. With these words from the book of 1 Thessalonians, I stand with a full heart of gratitude to contribute to this motion of Sine-Die, and I thank the Prime Minister to move that on the adjournment of Parliament on Wednesday, 17th December 2025, the present meeting shall be concluded and Parliament shall then stand adjourned Sine-Die. Mr. Speaker, when I looked at this motion, Sine-Die meaning a day without a day, this is more than just a procedural conclusion, sir. It tells me that this one is a sacred pause in a democratic rhythm. It is a moment that we, as members of this 12th Parliament, we reflect on the journey behind us to honor the collective labor of this House and to solidify the foundation upon which we build our nation's future when we reconvene 2026. Today, as we stand on the eve of, as other speakers have concluded, celebrating the birth of our Savior, Lord, Savior and King, this adjournment is infused with a spirit of thanksgiving, unity, and renewed purpose. Speaker, sir, before I dwell on policies from my ministry and the budget, I'd like to backtrack a bit and speak on the foundation, the ministry that I'm entrusted with for the past 4 months, a Ministry of Lands, Housing and Survey. That, Mr. Speaker, does not merely administer resources, it stewards the very physical and spiritual bedrock of this nation, Speaker, sir. Our land is not just of soil and timber, it is our history, our identity, our heritage, and the security of this country, Solomon Islands. The truth is, most powerful and great nations globally, the founders of these modern nations often were surveyors, land surveyors, Speaker. Let me reiterate this and let me point to the President, George Washington. He is a surveyor, and he charted the wilderness of Virginia, his compass and chain instruments for national destiny. Another president, Thomas Jefferson, he's also a county surveyor, envisioned a land system that would bring order and fairness to a continent. The third one, President Abraham Lincoln, is a deputy surveyor, carried the principles of precise boundaries and just division into the highest office. They were not just map makers, Mr. Speaker. They were nation builders who understood that to measure land is to accept stewardship. To register a title is to confer dignity. And to plan a settlement is to foster community. Speaker said, this historical legacy guides the ministry. In our context, the stewardship is even more profound. Our customary land tenure is the living heartbeat of our custom and our social cohesion. Our work, therefore, is a delicate and sacred trust to modernize and formalize without dispossessing, to develop without destroying, to map with precision while honoring the intangible boundaries of our tradition. This Christian season, Mr. Speaker, reminds me and reminds us in this 12th Parliament that the earth is the Lord's. And everything in it, the book of Psalms in the Old Testament, that we are not owners, but custodians. Every land title we grant, every housing project we commission, every survey we put pegs in place must be done with this humility and this awesome sense of responsibility for generations yet unborn. Speaker, previous Thursday, my team from the ministry, we boarded the Auki Express to Auki. And there we opened the land recording office in Auki with bigger plans for 2026, Speaker. Guided by this foundational principle, Mr. Speaker, my ministry has been a hive of transformative activity. Our mission is to clear, to make land accessible, housing affordable, and land administration transparent and just. Therefore, this motion of Sine-Die this afternoon allows us to catalog and progress much of which has been enabled by the support and legislative oversight of the House. Speaker, the 2026 budget for my ministry will be concentrating on the relevant reforms to the current Lands and Titles Act. We'll continue on the customary land recording that will move to new sites, that means throughout the country. We'll look at the urban relocation priorities. We'll look into the technical expertise on government audits, projects, reforms, upgrading, site development, urban housing. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 recurrent budget for the ministry is firmly aligned with our core mandate, ensuring that land management services are delivered effectively across our country to every citizen, stakeholders, and government institutions within the approved resource envelope. My ministry will also maintain its commitment to supporting sister ministries by providing the land components necessary for their development projects, Speaker, sir. Over time, my ministry has consistently demonstrated its institutional capacity to implement government policies and advance development initiatives. While the overarching fiscal priority for 2026 emphasizes revenue generation and expenditure control, the ministry's policy agenda will concentrate on customary land recording, land law reform, the national urban policy, and the pilot housing project. These initiatives are designed to strengthen government efforts by ensuring the availability of professional integrity, efficient land administration, and a management system that contributes meaningfully to social stability, economic growth, and environmental stability. Speaker, sir, no progress occurs in a vacuum. It stands upon the pillars of dedicated service. And this afternoon, Sine-Die is a time we honor these pillars. And a lot of colleague ministers and MPs have alluded to this. I'd like to say thank you to you, Your Excellency, the Governor General. You are the serene embodiment of our nation's unity and continuity. Your dignified presence above the daily fray reminds us of the enduring values and constitutional covenant that binds us as Solomon Islanders. And on behalf of my people of Northeast Guadalcanal, the chiefs, we'd like to say thank you, Your Excellency, for wisdom and your steady hand. To the constitutional post holders, the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, the Auditor General, the Ombudsman, and all independent office holders, you are the guardians of our democracy's integrity. When my ministry drafts a new land policy, we lean on the Attorney General's Council for Justice. When we disburse housing funds, we welcome the Auditor General's scrutiny for accountability. Your work, often unseen, is the steel frame of our state, and thank you for that. To you, Mr. Speaker, your families, and to the 50 members of the 12th Parliament, this House is a beautiful place indeed, sometimes a bit noisy. It's a tapestry of our nation, Speaker. We represent different islands, different voices, different perspectives, yet, as the budget details showed, we can debate fiercely and then unite decisively for the people of this country. Speaker, sir, your fair and firm leadership makes this possible. I say to my colleagues, let us carry this spirit of respectful collaboration back to our respective constituencies, which a lot of us will be doing in the upcoming week. This motion of Sine-Die pause is a chance to listen to our people anew and return to this House 2026 even greater, with greater resolve to work together. To my good people of Northeast Guadalcanal, to the people as far as to the east of Samaria, to the Central Highlands of Palo Sulu, my 2 wards of Tasimboko and Paripao, and every village within the constituency boundaries, and to those of you who are listening on radio live across country and in the constituency, this is your seat in Parliament. I am here as your voice. Your resilience is my strength. Your struggles for better roads, for clean water, for jobs, for the youth, other mandates I will bring to this floor. The 2026 budget answers the call for a new health center. And this afternoon, on behalf of the people of Northeast Guadalcanal, the MP and the Minister for Lands, I'd like to say thank you to the Minister for Health and the MP for North Guadalcanal for the $3 million dedicated to this new health center. Thank you, Minister. And it will be dedicated for the Tasimboko people. The fight continues, but progress is tangible. To our traditional leaders, the custom custodians, I offer my deepest respect and ongoing partnership. Your guidance, Speaker, the people of Northeast Guadalcanal, is irreplaceable. To my tireless team at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Survey, this tribute comes from my core. To the surveyors mapping in rugged terrain, the officers patiently explaining the process at the registry, the planners drafting housing designs, the administrators keeping the ministry's engine running. You are the unsung heroes, unseen at most times. You are the real servants. When you're secured with your recording certificates, the answers from the ministry's employees, you're not only changing lives, but you translate policy into changing reality. And as Minister of Lands, I am profoundly proud to lead within that ministry, sir. As we depart from this adjournment, Mr. Speaker, we step into the radiant light of the Christmas season. A lot of homes across country has been putting up these Christmas lights, brightening their homes, because we are a Christian nation by the Constitution. Not in just a Constitution, but in the soul of our people across the country. Christmas is the celebration of the Prince of Peace, who came with a message of hope, love, and redemption. Mr. Speaker, the festive period encapsulates this very spirit, and we must cultivate that as a nation. It is a time of sharing, of opening our homes, of caring for the lonely, and forgiving past grievances. It is a time to remember that our material progress in budgets and buildings must be animated by the spiritual core, the spirit of communities, of this true community. Speaker, in a world of conflict, let our Solomon Islands stand as a beacon of this Christmas peace. Let us remember those who will work through these holidays. As Minister of Lands, I would ask that we remember our nurses, our police, those from Immigration and Customs, our utility workers, and hold them in prayer, sir. Let us reach out to those who are grieving or in need, ensuring the joy of this season touches every heart, sir. In closing, this motion of Sine-Die, sir, is our collective deep breath before the next leg of our national race. We have surveyed the ground, but literally and politically, we have laid plans and allocated resources. We have honored our servants and our source. The path ahead is clear. Implement the people's budget that we've just passed with integrity, deepen our transformation, deliver homes and titles to our people, and do it all in the spirit of unbreakable unity. For closing, I will quote from the book of Hebrews that will guide us forward. Let us run with perseverance the race that has been marked out for us, fixing our eyes on this Prince of Peace, the pioneer and the perfect of our Christian faith. This is our race, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, this is our sacred duty for the Solomon Islands. Let us, as 50 members of the 12th Parliament, let us run this race together with perseverance, with faith, and with our eyes fixed on the common good of all whom we are. We're privileged to serve. I wish, as MP for North East Guadalcanal, Minister for Land and Housing, I wish every Solomon Islander that is listening this afternoon a peaceful, joyous, and blessed Christmas. May our omnipotent God, omnipresent God, protect your work, guide you, and bless this Christian country of ours that we love. And on behalf of the Minister for Lands, Housing and Survey, I support the motion, Speaker Sir, and I resume my seat.
Thank you, Minister for Lands, Housing and Survey. Anyone else wish to contribute? Thank you, Honourable Member for Temotu Nende.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for recognizing member for Temotu Nende constituency, where the sun rises and Solomon time begins every day. To contribute briefly to the motion of Sine-Die, moved by the Honourable Prime Minister, that at the adjournment of Parliament on Wednesday, 17 December 2025, the present meeting shall be concluded and Parliament shall then stand adjourned Sine-Die. Sir, with deep humility and profound gratitude, I wish to acknowledge the important work we have carried out in this chamber throughout the year. I wish to extend my appreciation to the National Speaker and the Clerk for such a wonderful task, sir, in managing the process and procedures in this chamber. Thank you to the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Jeremiah Manale, for your great leadership and steadfast role in navigating the GNAT. Challenges come and go, but you remain who you are and what you are. Mr. Speaker, sir, this motion allows us not only to conclude business, but also to step back and consider the foundations we have strengthened for the future of our people. Sir, it is an important opportunity to appreciate our progress, honestly examine our challenges, and renew our collective resolve to serve the nation with integrity, unity, and purpose. Honourable Speaker, sir, allow me first to acknowledge the GNAT government for the clarity and determination demonstrated in shaping national policy through the 4 pillars. Sir, the government's overarching policy of economic transformation, unity and stability, infrastructure development, and human capital development has continued to steer the public sector, provincial development efforts, and economic activities in a positive direction, Mr. Speaker. Sir, the GNAT government has maintained a steady hand, navigating complex global realities that have affected economies worldwide. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite constraints in revenue and the continuing impacts of geopolitical dynamics, climate shocks, and fluctuating commodity markets, the government has kept its commitments to service delivery, responsible budgeting, and strategic long-term planning. Mr. Speaker, sir, of particular note is the emphasis on strengthening the productive sectors, enhancing human capital, and improving national infrastructure. Sir, these pillars remain essential to unlocking economic growth, driving development, and enhancing the quality of life for all Solomon Islanders. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government's approach to inclusive development, ensuring that rural communities, vulnerable populations, and outer islands are not left behind, reflects a clear understanding of our national context and the unique challenges faced by our diverse population. Mr. Speaker, through this year, the Education Committee has carried out its mandate with diligence and commitment. The question time has been an opportunity for us to deliberate on matters affecting our nation in regards to the education sector. However, sir, not all the activities in our work plan were completed this year due to challenges with resources, particularly funding. Sir, some inquiries require nationwide oversight, which depends on proper budget allocation. Sir, we hope to begin these activities in the first and second quarter of 2026. Another challenge that I would also want to mention is the parliamentary calendar that would really help us plan and carry out our mandates. This will give us time for parliamentary duties and constituency duties as well. Mr. Speaker, sir, the journey has not been without its difficulties. Quorum issues that delay or postpone committee deliberations, budget constraints, gaps in implementation, and the urgent need for reforms have tested our resolve. Sir, yet these challenges have highlighted the importance of parliamentary oversight role. By raising these issues openly, we have ensured they remain central to national debate and policy making. Sir, I wish to sincerely thank my fellow committee members for the dedication, and also the Honourable Speaker, the clerk, and parliamentary staff for their tireless support. Their contributions have been vital in enabling us to carry out our work effectively. Mr. Speaker, as we adjourn, let us remember that the future of our nation depends on the quality of education we provide. In this regard, we must reaffirm our commitment to Sustainable Development Goal number 4, ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. Equal access to education is not only a global priority, but also a national responsibility. So every child, regardless of background, must have the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to contribute meaningfully to the development of our country. So the committee stands ready to contribute its oversight and advocacy in 2026. Honourable Speaker, as we reflect on the 2026 budget, I wish to commend the GNAT government for directing considerable support towards health, education, and productive sectors. the core engines of human development and sustainable growth. In regards to health, sir, the allocation of health sector in the budget demonstrates a strong commitment to improving medical services, strengthening infrastructure, and expanding the availability of essential resources across the country. Our people deserve quality, accessible, and equitable health care, regardless of where they live. Sir, I wish to thank the Minister of Health and Medical Service for earmarking for the construction of Lata Hospital. At last, a leader with a mission and vision have come and see the cry of our people. Our health workers and public officers in Lata, the commitment in constructing and rehabilitating existing facilities is commendable. These investments will greatly reduce the burden on centralized health services, expand rural coverage, reduce cost of airlifting emergency cases or parents from Lata to Honiara by plane, and enhance our nation's resilience in the face of health emergencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of education, education remains one of the most powerful instruments for societal advancement. The 2026 budget continues to provide critical support to teacher training, access to quality learning, school infrastructure, rehabilitation, and expansion of senior secondary schools, as well as the tertiary opportunities. Sir, our children are the custodians of our future. We must therefore build an education system that equips them not only with knowledge, but also with values, practical skills, and the capacity to contribute meaningfully to the growth of our nation. Mr. Speaker, funding allocated for construction of classroom, teacher salaries, curriculum enhancement, and scholarships for tertiary education demonstrates the government's commitment to improving the next generation of leaders. Innovators, and professionals. Sir, I wish to commend the government for increasing the funding allocation for Lata Community High School for $1 million to $5 million by 2026. If you may continue $1 million, I think by 20 years now before classroom is finished here. Sir, I urge the Minister of Education to continue to allocate funding for the construction of new provincial education providers, offices right in all the provinces in this country. Sir, I'm also calling on the Minister of Education to capacitate Solomon National University Library or establish a Sinu bookshop where course books are sold to students. For instance, currently in Panatina campus, there are no course books as references to the courses offered at Sinu. In regards to productive sectors, Mr. Speaker, the productive sectors like agriculture, forestry, fisheries, tourism, and small enterprise developments are crucial for economic diversification and rural livelihoods. Sir, I commend the GNAT government for continuing to support agricultural extension services, livestock programs, crop diversification initiatives, food security measures, and the fisheries development. Mr. Speaker, through these initiatives, rural farmers gain opportunities to earn income, improve nutrition, and contribute meaningfully to the national economic development. Sir, nevertheless, from observations, agricultural officers, forestry officers, and fisheries officers in the province are not doing enough or not working at all. Others tapia we waiting salary no more. I think by next year, having this budget, me believe that they'll be doing something. Most of them, you go out to play Ludo no more. Sir, the strengthening of agricultural institutions, including the construction of agriculture offices across provinces, especially construction of agriculture office in Lata by 2026, is a critical step towards improving service, delivery at a community level for such a remote province. Our office in Lata hem burned down here, but Savala said, "Mifal na bonenya, mifal no bon for burn ba, mifal a bon for shoot." So that fala building hem burn now. Honorable Speaker, sir, I wish to extend special appreciation to the government for the implementation of key infrastructure and development projects that have moved forward throughout the year. Sir, infrastructure is the backbone of economic activity and social stability, as well as national unity. The GNAT government has made significant efforts to progress projects that will greatly benefit my people today and future generations. Allow me to highlight some of these important projects. Sir, first and foremost is the airport projects. The ongoing development and rehabilitation of airports across the country are transformative. Improved air transport infrastructure enhances domestic connectivity, enables rapid delivery of goods and medical supplies, supports emergency response, and also encourages tourism. Honorable Speaker, sir, these projects not only modernize transportation, but also open up new economic opportunities for remote provinces. I wish to say thank you to the Minister of Commerce and Aviation for the upgrading of Santa Cruz Airport, but I wish Pine from the people of Vanikoro Island for the construction of the airport by 2026. Sir, the people of Vanikoro Islands deserve such development, as they were the first people who gave their land for logging to a New Zealand and Australian company called Vanikoro Kauri Timber Company from 1920 to 1962. So I believe such development deserves to be undertaken in these remote and far islands. Honorable Speaker, sir, in regards to roads, roads are lifelines for communities, businesses, schools, and health services. The government's continued focus on road maintenance and rehabilitation has been instrumental in improving mobility, access to markets, and rural development. Sir, on that note, I wish to thank the Ministry of Infrastructure Development for your funding assistance for the Nede Road maintenance, the Lata Wharf, and part of Nede Inland Roads that have undergone maintenance and ensures farmers transport their products to the market. Children can reach schools and families can access clinics, even in challenging weather conditions. Sir, the construction of new hospitals and rehabilitation of existing facilities demonstrates tremendous commitment to strengthening the national health system. These systems address long-standing gaps in health access, especially for rural populations. Honorable Speaker, we must applaud the government for taking these bold steps to improving health infrastructure and ensure that quality health care services reach every corner of Solomon Islands. And so, thank you, Minister of Health, for recognizing Lata Hospital's upgrade and maintenance by 2026. Honorable Speaker said, cultural preservation is essential to national identity. Sir, the establishment and rehabilitation of provincial museums continue to safeguarding our traditions, recording our histories, promoting tourism, and strengthening community pride.
Mr. Speaker, it's now 4:30 p.m. I seek your consent to move a suspension of Standing Order 10 in accordance with Standing Order 81.
Leave is granted, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Standing Order 10 be suspended in accordance with Standing Order 81 to permit the continuation of business until adjourned by the Speaker in accordance with Standing Order 10.5.
Honourable members, unless any other member wishes to comment on this motion, I will put the question. And the question is that Standing Order 10 be suspended in accordance with Standing Order 81 to permit the continuation of business until adjourned by the Speaker in accordance with Standing Order 10.5. All those in favour say aye. All those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Standing Order 10 therefore stands suspended. We may continue the business until adjourned by the Speaker in accordance with Standing Order 10.5.
Thank you to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism for allocating funds for the construction of a provincial museum in Lata by 2026. This museum will serve not only as repositories of culture, but also as centers of learning for future generations. Sir, effective communication is also vital in a geographical dispersed country like ours. Therefore, the construction of radio broadcasting buildings and towers strengthens national communications capacity, supports disaster awareness, enhances civic education, and ensures that transformative flows to even the most remote communities like ours in the Isles of Tuamotu. Sir, thank you so much to the government for embarking for the maintenance and revitalization of Santa Cruz SIBC called Radio Tuamotu, the sound of the Eastern Isles. Radio remains the most accessible medium for many Solomon Islanders, and this investment will greatly enrich the national information landscape. Mr. Speaker, sir, connectivity is no longer a luxury, but a necessity in the digital era. The expansion of telecommunication towers has significantly improved mobile network coverage, internet access, business communication, education opportunities, and access to essential digital services. With that, I wish to acknowledge the government for the construction of towers in my constituency, namely Banya, Nauka, and Matamotu. These investments open doors for e-commerce, remote learning, telemedicine, and improved coordination across government services. Honourable Speaker, the Australian government's investment in strengthening eastern border security are commendable and essential to safeguarding our sovereignty, maintaining peace, and enhancing national security. Sir, the people of Tuamotu really welcome such a development as it enhances border posts, improve monitoring systems, and increase presence of security personnel that ensures that our borders remain safe, that illegal activities are curbed, and that neighboring interactions remain peaceful and regulated. Mr. Speaker, sir, these strategic priority developments underscores the government's commitment to protecting our people, our resources, and our national interest. Honourable Speaker, as we reflect on the achievement of this year, it is equally important to acknowledge the critical role of unity within the government, within the parliament, and across our communities. Sir, despite our political differences, we share a common mission, and that is to serve our people. Sir, development cannot advance in an environment of division, mistrust, or instability. It thrives only when leaders rise above partisan interests and unite around shared goals for the nation. Sir, the work of GNAT government, supported by members of parliament on both sides of this house, reflects an understanding that national progress must always come before political rivalry. Let the spirit of cooperation guide us as we move forward. Sir, no country is without challenge, and ours is no exception. As we look towards 2026, we must remain mindful of the ongoing issues that require our attention. For instance, number one, climate change impacts, erosion, cyclone, flooding, and good security. Number two is the economic diversification and creating meaningful jobs for our youth. Number three is strengthening governance systems and fighting corruption. Four is enhancing service delivery to our rural and remote communities. Five, ensuring fiscal discipline while meeting growing development demands. And lastly, number six is parliamentary quorum. By next time we call a meeting, but he will not come. Okay, mota man lo listen lo radio no by here. This time I think less than 20 no more lawyer. Them good too, yeah. And part two, or call a quorum too, yeah. So, yet these challenges also present opportunities. Opportunities to innovate, to strengthen policy frameworks, to build resilience, and also to empower our people. The foundations we lay today determine the kind of nation we become tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, it is fitting to acknowledge the dedication of our public servants across the nation, who continue to carry out the everyday work of government, despite resource limitations and demanding circumstances. Say thank you to the health workers, nurses, police officers, and all officers who engage to deliver and execute services in the remote islands, right in the middle of the islands and high in the mountains. You made our people feel that the government services have reached them. You make their life change. You are the government to them. You are the face of the government. You make them realize that yes, there is still a government that exists. So, on behalf of my people of Tematunende constituency, I also appreciate and acknowledge all our donor partners, DFAT, MFAT, People's Republic of China, Japanese government, the government of Korea, and others that I did not mention, the non-government organizations, the church groups, for their commitment, friendship, and support that remain valuable to our national development journey. Finally, sir, I recognize the resilience of our communities, acknowledging my people of Tematunende constituency, the older chiefs, church leaders, farmers, fishermen, business owners, community leaders, ward chairmen, and all families, whose daily contributions keep our constituency and our nation alive and moving forward. Sir, as we approach the Christmas festive season, I extend warm greetings to the Governor General, the Honorable Prime Minister, Speaker of National Parliament, Chief Justice, Leader of Official Opposition, Leader of Independent, Cabinet Ministers, all Members of Parliament, Lord Mayor, Councillors, Premiers and Members of Provincial Assemblies, our hardworking public servants, our development partners, and every citizens across our beautiful islands, not forgetting the Super Six and their good abiding people, and especially my people of Tematunende constituency. May this Christmas season be a time of peace, reflection, reconciliation, and thanksgiving. May families gather in joy, communities come together in unity, and the spirit of goodwill prevail across our nation. As we welcome the new year 2026, may it bring renewed hope, prosperity, and opportunities for all Solomon Islanders. Let us continue to work together, guided by mutual respect and shared purpose, to build a strong, resilient, and united nation. Honorable Speaker, in closing this motion of Sine-Die, I once again acknowledge the tremendous efforts of the GNAT government in driving national development, supporting essential sectors, and remaining committed to long-term social and economic progress. Share the projects and policies advanced this year, whether in health, education, productive sectors, infrastructure, communications, or security, reflect a government working with vision, determination, and dedication. Honorable Speaker, as representative of our people, may we continue to uphold the trust placed in us, act with integrity, and serve with humility. With these words, Honorable Speaker, thank you too much. God bless you all. God bless our people, and God bless Solomon Islands. With this, I support the motion and resume my seat.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Temotunende.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate on the question is adjourned.
Honourable members, it is proposed that the debate on the question is adjourned. Unless any member wishes to comment on this proposal, I will put the question. The question is that the debate on the question is adjourned. Will all those in favour say aye? All those against say no? I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Debate on the question is therefore adjourned. Honourable Prime Minister, to move the adjournment, please. This one. Okay. Finish there. Honourable members, in accordance with the earlier resolution of this House and pursuant to Standing Order 10.5, the House is now adjourned until 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 16th December 2025.